Jack here, JBF Music and Guitar Lessons. In this video I'm doing some riffs and review of Iron Maiden's debut album, as you may very well already have deduced from the title. I'll sneak in some information, trivia and history about the band wherever relevant, just for a bit more context. From the chugging, punk-imbued power chords which signal the onslaught of Prowler, to the theatrical prog odyssey that is Phantom of the Opera, ending with the epic twin-lead intro to the title track itself. This is just a solid album. An album which is more of a hard rock one than a metal one, in part thanks to the vocals of one Paul Di'Anno. For those of you who don't know, Iron Maiden had a different singer for the first two albums. Paul Di'Anno is a bluesier, gruffer voice, more swagger and Jack the Lad style cheek in his voice, performance and general demure than say Bruce Dickinson. Di'Anno's voice sits really well in these songs. I generally prefer his take on the material than Bruce's, but that's neither here nor there. There are a few different versions of this album which I only found out when putting this thing together, so for clarity I'm talking about the remastered 98 edition. Prowler and Sanctuary are maybe more akin to radio-friendly hard rock tunes than to balls-to-the-wall metal, but still very successfully balance a catchy pop aesthetic with a more raw rock grit and edge. The songs do sound more punk compared to other metal or proto-metal bands at the time. And this fast, dare I say, pre-speed metal sonic assault is part of the reason they got signed in the first place. The high energy songs meant they were, from a sales point of view, more marketable to youth, or at least a counterculture that had, for the most part, grown weary of prog and stadium rock. Next up, we've got one of the more metal songs, Remember Tomorrow. In contrast, the almost ballad-like metal verse makes the chorus seem even darker and more powerful whenever it kicks in. A definite personal highlight. On a side note, all the riffs and lead lines I'm playing are in a bumper edition of my Learn Riffs Now series, which I'll link up there if you want to check them out. Pretty much no talking, just playing with the guitar tab on the screen. The heavier track is then remedied with what's probably the most pop track on here, Running Free. Showcasing Clive Burr's great groove and feel, you need to consider that a lot of the hard rock and proto-metal drummers would have learned some chops, if not all of them, from the old jazz and blues guys, resulting in more swing, shuffle, bounce and playing behind beat. Clive would go on to record another 2 studio albums with the band before being replaced by Nick McBrain for Peace of Mind. Phantom of the Opera, what to say? In my eyes, one of the more intricate and ambitious pieces on this album, featuring what is my favourite Dennis Stratton solo. This would be Dennis's only Maiden album, his departure would however open the doors for the iconic Maiden brand of metal that they're now renowned for. A great song, and not just a personal highlight this time, but of their whole career rather than just the album. Keeping things more metal, the next entry, Transylvania, and what is probably a vastly underrated riff in terms of influence in the metal genre, right off the bat. A bold song that's purely instrumental, relying on a combination of hooks, time changes, twin leads, squealing solos, and Steve Harris's trademark signature busy punchy bass lines rattling through your speakers like some wild machine gun, and just general badassery. This song could sit quite happily in a later album like Power Slave, and in hindsight is a great foreshadowing of what the band would go on to become, transitioning beautifully via almost otherworldly sounds, feedback and soundscape the atmosphere into Strange World. A real curveball. It's the pretty vibey, almost psychedelic entry, very sparse vocals. It's a bit of a shame the style wasn't explored further in Maiden's career. It's a great employment of modulation effects here as well, the use of which in other songs, along with a somewhat lackluster production, are what I would consider to be the 2 main flaws and fair criticisms of this album. Charlotte the Harlot, penned by guitarist Dave Murray, who writes on average something like 1 song for every 2 studio albums they release. A fun song, upbeat and catchy, also probably the weakest one on here. By all means, still highly enjoyable with some great tempo shifts and moody tonal changes. Ending on the title track. This one feels a bit dated by modern standards, but I'd imagine in the late 70s, early 80s at a small venue or pub, this would have been great for crowd interaction, a sort of sing-along or call and response for lack of a better term. Being born after this album came out, it's difficult to put things in context because I just wasn't there to experience it, so a fair bit of speculation on my part here. Yet, overall, a very good album, particularly if you're more of a hard rock or even a blues rock guy. Songs to check out, Remember Tomorrow, Phantom of the Opera, Transylvania. If you hear something in one of those tunes that you like, give the rest of the album a listen. I'll pop a link down in the description to it. What are your personal highlights, or if you never checked this album out before, let me know, it'd be really cool to find out. Anyway, that's all for now. If you've enjoyed this, do all the usual stuff, like, share, comment and subscribe, or whatever hoops you currently have to jump to get notifications for new content. All of these actions, no matter how small, are greatly appreciated. Cheers guys.